Okay, so remember they're changing my voice. I'm going to continue with the judgment of the dead from Revelation 20. I urge you to see my videos on Revelation, before they come down, because these people are sissies. Even when they suppress my videos, they want to play stupid games. They've covered up a lot of my videos. I can't even get to my own videos on my own channel sometimes because they do some funny hacking or whatever they're doing from the inside of YouTube or however they're doing it. Right, the judgment of the dead. Then I saw a great white throne and him who was seated on it. The earth and the heavens fled from his presence, and there was no place for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and the books were open, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they had done, as recorded in the books. See, God said, I'm going to give you your right to rule over people forever. And he shall reign forever and ever. Why? Because that's justice. Because that's righteousness. Why should I be cheated on my right to rule you people? Because you're too cowardly to obey God through me. So then I judge you according to your deeds. How else can you reconcile this? How else can you reconcile the idea of the top martial arts ever possible? If not, that is what the Christos, the anointed by God's Holy Spirit, is. The sea gave up the dead, and they were in there, and that. Excuse me. The sea gave up the dead that were in them. Right. This kind of spiritual idea. Right. A body of water. The sea. The sea is a mixed sea. Right. There's people who died who go to hell and who don't. Right. So the sea gave up the dead in them, and each person was judged according to their deeds, according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the second death. If anyone whose name was not found written in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire. So anyone who didn't go through the way, which is obeying God through me, which is the truth about righteousness and justice, and which is the proper way to live one's life, the righteous way, the morally precise, the holy way, the godly way, the righteous way, the right way. They were thrown into the lake of fire. And the Bible says that the smoke from their torment rises forever and ever. Which brings us to Isaiah 14. The last thing I'm going to do in this series is talk about Isaiah 14 and the king of Assyria. The king of Babylon, in a sense. The false king. The king who challenged Nimrod, the Royal African Falcon Martial Law Order. Ham begot Cush, Cush begot Nimrod, Nimrod founded Babylon. The Assyrians, like they pushed into Egypt, rebelled against this idea. They were one of many groups in the Middle East that rebelled against the African martial art order. According to the Bible, when we scrutinize the historicity of it carefully, and we look at what they must be referring to, using righteousness and justice as the measuring line and plume line. Again, Isaiah 28:17. Hail will sweep away your refuge, the lie, because the spirit and the truth means everything, and the flesh means nothing. The Lord will have compassion on Jacob. Once again, he will choose Israel and will settle them in their own land. Foreigners will join them and unite with the descendants of Jacob. Nations will take them and bring them to their own place. And Israel will take possession of the nations and make them male and female servants in the Lord's hands. In the Lord's hand. They will make captives of their captors and rule over their oppressors. On the day the Lord gives you relief from your suffering and turmoil and from harsh labor forced on you, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. How the oppressor has come to an end, how his fury has ended. Now listen carefully what they have to say about Babylon and Assyria, right? The king of Babylon said, how the oppressor has come to an end. Right, what's going on in Isaiah? When did Isaiah live? Did Isaiah live during the time of Nimrod? No. Isaiah did not live during the time of Nimrod. Did Isaiah live during the time of Nimrod's valid successor or those in the spirit of Nimrod? No. They are not talking about Nimrod. Not in the logical interpretation. There are occultists that might make that argument. But that's not what they're talking about. Okay? However, when someone is allowed to rule, it's something that God has allowed to occur. So, there's more than one interpretation of this. The one I'm going to use is going to be the most direct and simple to help you understand the principles of martial arts, which is the point of the story. The point of the Bible is to help you understand the principles of African martial arts. The Hebrew is an Afro-Asiatic language. That's the point of the Bible. Okay? And it's not a coincidence, it's Afro-Asiatic. Okay, because when you look at the trade routes, the people from Asia trading through the Middle East with the people of Africa, and smack in the middle somewhere, you see Babylon. It's like a halfway point. And those be people who are living in Asia for thousands, tens of thousands of years before Babylon is established, at least being called Babylon. Okay. So when it's truly established through martial art, intensity, how else would a nation be established in a holy book? Through mere technology? Through mere numbers of people? Well, there's lots of ants. Perhaps they've established the earth. Okay, it had to be established through Royal African Falcon martial arts to truly be established. That's how a nation that is spoken well of by God is established in the Bible. So it's spoken well of for a time when during Genesis 10, for example. Anyway, so the Lord has broken the rod of the wicked, the scepter of rulers, which in anger struck down peoples with unceasing blows, and in fury subdued nations with relentless aggression. So again, in the other video, I was talking about how the scepter is associated with martial art prowess. And he said the scepter struck down people with unceasing blows, and in fury subdued nations with relentless aggression. Is it focused moral intensity? Is it mere rage? And rage is like the word rag, right? It's like someone on their period throwing a bitch fit. Excuse my French. So the Babylonian king is being accused of striking down everyone and anyone in a furious rage, out of greed and out of desire to exalt himself, to exert power, to beat on his chest and say that he's in charge. That's what he's been accused of here. All the lands are at rest and at peace. They break into singing. Even the junipers and cedars of Lebanon gloat over you and say, now that you have been laid low, no one comes to cut us down. The realm of the dead below is all astir to meet you at your coming. It rouses the spirits of the departed to greet you. All those who were leaders in the world, it makes them rise from their thrones. All those who were kings over the nations. They will all respond and say to you, you also have become weak as we are. You have become like us. All your pomp has been brought down to the grave, along with the noise of your harps. Maggots are spread out beneath you, and worms cover you. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You see how this is very reminiscent. It's almost like they're talking about Nimrod, but they're not. It is almost like that. Because they're saying this guy is the morning star. He's a mighty warrior before the Lord. And he once laid down the nations. But they're actually talking about the spirit of the king during that time. People like Nebuchadnezzar, who were very wicked and petty and arrogant. Reminds me of these Israeli prime ministers, right? Very arrogant, but mixed with some kind of English person or some kind of Roman, right? Nero. It's like Nero, very arrogant and petty. Using the force of their soldiers instead of the martial force of God to lead. Just bullying, just a bully, right? The bull, the devil, the bull horns, and the bully. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. Now, what are they talking about here? Mount Zaphon, according to Bible Gateway, and I'm assuming that they're right, and it doesn't matter if they're right or not because the principles and not the details are more important. Or of the north, Zaphon was the most sacred mountain of the Canaanites. Okay, the Canaanites. Remember in the story of Noah and Canaan, he said, curses on you, Canaan. And the Canaanites and Sodom and Gomorrah go hand in hand. They're a bunch of homosexuals and things of that nature. With their male shrine prostitutes, temple prostitutes. Say, I will ascend above the tops of the cloud. I will make myself, the tops of the clouds, I will make myself like the Most High. Okay, remember, Jesus said he comes, it says in the Bible that Jesus is going to come back at the right hand of power, coming with the clouds of heaven. It says in Jeremiah that God, that God comes like the clouds, his chariots are like the clouds. It says in Psalms, whirlwinds and clouds. So what it's saying is that the king of Babylon is guilty of trying to be like God's son and using his spirit to superimpose, the king of Babylon is trying to superimpose the king of Babylon's spirit on the idea of God's spirit in the top martial artist ever. That's what he's being accused of. Now, why doesn't your churches tell you this? Why don't your synagogues tell you this? Why don't your religions tell you that that's what the king of Babylon is guilty of? Because that's a very pertinent fact. That has everything to do with getting the principles correct. If there's some things you got to get straight, that's the bell that rings the loudest, that it's a martial art order. If you do not have God's order straight, okay, it doesn't matter what else you're doing, because you're going to mix the gate. Make straight the way for the Lord, not crooked. Not snaking back and forth, but straight. It says, okay, all right, so again, it says, I will ascend above the tops of the cloud, I'll make myself like the Most High, but you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pit. Isaiah, okay, so here we go. Verse 16, those who see you stare at you, they ponder your fate. Okay, we went over that, didn't we? Yes. Is this the man who shook the earth and made kingdoms tremble? The man the man who made the world a wilderness, who overthrew its cities and would not let his captives go home. All the kings of the nations lie in state, each in his own tomb. But you are cast out of your tomb like a rejected branch. You are covered with the slain, with those pierced by the sword, those who descend to the stones of the pit. Like a corpse trampled underfoot, you will not join them in burial, for you destroyed your land and killed your people. Let the offspring of the wicked never be mentioned again. Prepare a place to slaughter his children for the sins of their ancestors. They are not to rise to inherit the land and cover the earth with their cities. So what's being said here? This is maybe even the number one misconception of the Bible. It's not saying that they won't inherit the earth. It is not saying that. It is saying that they won't spiritually. Okay, they will. What it's saying is that they're the walking dead on earth. It's not saying that that their flesh won't be here on earth. It will. It's saying that they will not be right with God when they inherit the earth. That they're covered with maggots and worms, the essence of maggots. They're slimy maggots. They're like Slimer. They're horrible, like occultists, like grimy. Their soul is grimy. Okay, they're soulless. They're scum. Things of that nature. That's what it's saying. And we know this from the countless, James, the body without the spirit is dead. We know this from Psalms. Okay, where it says the wicked go down to the realm of the dead, all the nations that forget God. We know this from Isaiah 24, when it says the earth falls, never to rise again. We know this from Isaiah 30-something, where it says the earth is going to be completely destroyed. Okay, it's going to be completely spiritually destroyed. We know this when it says, when they destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. We know it when it said that they said that Job was covered by a flood. Was Job literally covered by a flood? No. Was Sodom and Gomorrah literally destroyed and there's a hole in the ground or something, or that part of the world turned into the ocean? No. It was spiritually destroyed.